the garbage fund. You can see in the receipts, I think I gave you basically how we arrived at those. It's our recommendation that we increase those fees by 34 cents a month. You might recall that is indeed the increase that took effect from Reliable Sanitation. Although their increase took effect December the 1st, this will go into effect May the 1st. The difference between there is approximately $6,000. That's the recommendation, I guess, that we would have as far as that's concerned. We looked at leaf and limb pickup fees, which are $1.72 a month. Since we received no increase in that particular service, we're not recommending a fee increase, even though what we receive for leaf and limb pickup does not cover the amount of the contracts in most cases. Once again, I made reference to this, that in the garbage fund, you can see that we do levy real estate taxes, and that makes up for some of the shortfall on those particular items. So that we are not showing a shortfall occurring in that particular fund. I built in for the disposal contract the amount of the increase so that it would adequately reflect in the expenses that we're expecting to see. One other item of note that is in that particular budget is the landfill final closure, which is the very last expense, $49,760. This is the closure of the landfill that we've been dealing with the IEPA on for a number of years. We finally have received indication that we're going to be able to close it up. Everything has been done that needs to be done. Ron and Tom Adams and I met with representatives of the IEPA a few weeks back. We were hoping they would say that they would waive any penalties, but that didn't come out of that particular meeting. They indicated that there were several penalties there. They were for $20,000. We put in approximately $5,000 for any other fees that we might have to close the landfill, including legal expenses that might go along with that. The one item of hope that they gave us at that particular meeting is they said that we could put together a plan and submit some supplemental environmental projects to them, that if it costs us money and we're cleaning up around town, what they said is, well, you could have like a recycle day. And we said, well, we've got that already. And they want to see something extra. It's like you're not getting credit for what you've done in the past. They want to see something more than just what you normally would do. One of the projects that we feel, and they said you may get dollar for dollar offset or you may not. They're not being committed to us. We need to supply them with what we feel that we can do. One of the projects that would qualify, and we don't know if they would give us dollar for dollar offset, but there's a possibility, or at least some offset, is the cleaning of the creek behind the Gaydern subdivision that we've put in the budget for $4,000. We would normally be able to use our own equipment, but it doesn't reach far enough. So Ron said we have to go out and rent equipment in order to clean that up. And that would be $4,000. We're going to have to do that in any event. We're hoping that we'll receive an offset in the motor fuel tax for that. In addition to that, not only the equipment rental, but what I would submit to them and what we're going to be working on is to increase the cost of that due to the fact that we're going to have to pay labor. I mean, so it's our own labor, but we're going to cost it out and submit the entire project to them to see if we can get some offset on that. Other projects Ron and I are going to try to get together on to find out if we can come up with projects to get some of those offsets. Anything better than really paying a fine to the IEPA, and it would be helping clean up the community. So that's one of the projects that we had in mind, and we're thinking of others to try to alleviate some of those fines and penalties. But that's the reason that that's in there, and we're doing whatever we can to reduce the amount of that expenditure also. Any questions on that fund? like I said, we're recommending a 34% increase. You might recall that coming up December the 1st of this upcoming year is going to be another 35% increase. So, I would suggest that we look at next year and come up with another increase of either the 35 cents, or at that point in time we might want to blend it in because we know we're going to receive another increase the following year and increase it a little bit more to alleviate some of the additional expenses. I'm not sure as we know, the economic times the way they are right now, our residents are in the same shape that we're in, and many of them, I can tell you, the seniors that are on Social Security, they did not receive an increase this year. And I know that we have several of those in the community. So that's our recommendation as far as that's concerned. Other funds that we are recommending an increase in fees, I'll just touch upon them and then we'll go back to the capital development, is the water and sewer departments. And those were on my notes and comments. Those are on page 32, 33, and 34, I believe. There's an awful lot of capital development projects, at least in the water department, not quite as much in the sewer department. But we are not running into the cash flow problem in those departments. And in talking with Ron, he seems to think that the water line replacement program is something we had in the budget last year that we were just not able to get to, correct, Ron?
Correct.
But that is not creating cash flow issues for us as far as those two departments are concerned. If you'll take a look at page 32, in the water sales category, and it's very difficult, you have to understand, to try to estimate what you're going to get in the way of receipts. As you know, the water sales go down on a regressive basis depending upon the amount of water you use. The more water you use, the less you're paying for each additional gallon when you hit various thresholds. Not only that, but if you've got a dry season, people use more water. If you've got a wet season, people use less water. This past year was a relatively mild and wet season, and there was not as much water use, as well as people trying just to cut down on water usage. And so it's just difficult to try to predict what you're going to get as far as water fees. But basically, what's built in here is a 5% water fee increase, and that is our recommendation to the council for the fee schedule increase for this upcoming year, beginning May the 1st. And you can see in the note that the city received an increase from the people, Namjawa, where we buy our water from, of, I put approximately 8%. Ron told me it's 8.38. So since it wasn't really creating a big issue as far as cash flow when you took a look at the entire budget, what I tried to do is to put a fee increase for the water sales and a little bit possible fee increase for the surcharges that would get the budget so that cash flow would be relatively equivalent. And if you take a look at what we've got there, based upon the total amount of the budget, it looks like we've got excess disbursements if everything is spent over receipts, depending upon water sales, the prediction of that, of approximately $22,000. So those would be the two other fee increases that we would recommend be incorporated into the fee schedule. Other than that, I know we've talked, inflation last year was practically none, although it doesn't seem that way as you go back and forth and you have to go and buy items, but basically it was very little. Residents, as I indicated before, Social Security recipients did not receive an increase. Many of our residents have not received increases in pay, and not only that, but many of them unfortunately are no longer working who used to be working. And when you take a look at the total amount of revenue that would be raised as far as taking a look at all the fees being received by the city, it would be very minimal. So we're not recommending any fee increases in any other items. Keeping in mind that the Park and the Play Commission is probably looking at fees as far as the parks are concerned, that may come into play at some point in time.